and welcome back to Stylishnaija YouTube channel. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks to all of my subscribers. If you are new, please subscribe to my channel, like on this video if you actually find this video helpful, like this video, and then comment on this video. You could drop all of your sewing questions and I'll be very fast to answer you. Today I'm actually going to be drafting a trendy body hugging gown. You could see the picture up there. So you could also call this gown, you could call it an asymmetric gown because of the design that is at the front of the gown. So that's what I'm actually going to be teaching you. So when you have this pattern draft, you could use it to cut out your own gown on your fabric. So let's just get started. So what I'm actually going to be using today, if you look at the upper part of this dress, of this gown, you will see that the upper part is actually a bust here. So I'm actually not going to be deliberating on that. So from my previous tube tutorial, which I'm going to be dropping the link down, I made out this pattern for a tube. The only thing that I left out was the neck. So I'm just going to be showing you how to cut out the neck on this. That's if you're going to be for this gown that I'm making, so that I'm going to be drafting for you. So I'm just going to show you how to cut out the neck. So this is like a basic tube pattern, and then this is the back bodice. So this is the back, this is the front. So I'm just going to be showing you how to cut out the neck from this now. So I'm just going to fold and then tape it down in order for me to get it perfectly well. So you can see I finished taping it down together. So this is the back bodice and then this is the front. So I'm going to be showing you now how to actually achieve the neckline on this tube top. So because I've been getting lots of requests on how to add a neckline to a tube top, so I'm just going to be using this opportunity now to show you. So for this, so it's like this, and then you could see for this pattern I actually dropped it with 5 inches because you could see from there, you see that that is a tube, sorry, is an off shoulder. So I actually use 5 inches to drop it, and then this is the bust line, and then this is the under bust, 10 and a half, 13 and a half, and then the full length. So I'm just going to be stopping it here. That's from those 5 inches. This 5 inches serves like the shoulder that was removed because it is an off shoulder. So what I'm going to be using now for this tube, basically most like standard for you, in order for you not to get your cleavage out, you use 8 inches. 8 inches is almost like standard, and when you use 8 inches, it usually comes out perfectly well. So I'm just going to be using 8 inches like this. I'm just going to be putting a mark on the 8 inches line. Remember, I used, this is 5 inches that was deducted because it's an off shoulder. So this is the 8 inches. So I'm just going to be making a rule here. And then this is for my 8 inches. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now, so this 8 inches now serves as my armhole line. You find that most times when we're making dresses, the armhole usually between 8 inches and 9 inches. So 8 inches will still work. So I'm just going to be using this 8 inches here as the armhole, and then I'll come up a bit with like half an inch. You could do 1 inch. So, and then for the front neckline, the back neckline is actually going to be a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to be cutting the two together. Then when I'm done, I'll now reduce the back part with 1 inch or half an inch, depends on what you want. So I'm just going to be doing this now, and then I'm going to be coming to this point. So for this, if you actually want a sweetheart neck, what you would do, if you want a sweetheart neck, you do 3 inches. I'm actually not doing a sweetheart neck, I'm just explaining. You could do 3 inches like this. That's from this width. You could do 3 inches from this width, and then all you have to do is just for you to come like this. If you're doing a sweetheart neck, this is the 3 inches coming up like this. You could do this and then come down if you're doing this, but I'm actually not doing this. I'm not doing a sweetheart neck, so I'm just going to go with the neckline that I'm going to be doing, which is like a C cup. So for this neckline, this kind of neckline, so what I'm actually going to be doing now, you take like half an inch down. This is the 8 inches line that I told you, which is like the chest line. You take half an inch here to those points, half an inch to this point, and then this is the middle, which is the dot line for this dress. So what I'm just going to be doing now, I'm just going to be using dotted lines first to indicate it for you to see. So I'm just going to be coming like this. This is the dot line, and then from this dot line I'm just going to be taking another half an inch on this point like this. I'm just going like this, and then with the half an inch I'm just going to be coming down to this point. Since it is not, if it is a sweetheart neck, I will stop it. That's the first one I told you. So but since it's not a sweetheart neck, you could see the neck is just like a boat neck on an off shoulder. So this is it. So I'll just use my curve now to connect it. So I'm just going to do this. You could so this is it. So now I'm going to cut it out. You could see what I have. I just want you to see it so you understand. You could see what I have. I have like a U here up and then another U down. So for you to understand, a U up and a U down. So I'll cut the back and the front together, then I'll reduce the back with 1 inch. So I'm just going to do that now. So you could see what I have. I just open it. You could see what I have. You could see the neckline. So the back neckline, you could now decide to reduce it if you want it to be, in order for it to fit perfectly well. So I'm just going to reduce it with 1 inch, and everything that I'm going to be doing now, I'm just going to be maintaining this line like this, and then I'm going to be stopping it here so I don't run into any problem. So all you have to do is just bring this one back down like this again, and then place at 1 inch. This is just like an easy way of achieving your tube neckline. So this is the back. I'll open it up because of the zipper. So this is the front, and then this is the back. So I'm just going to set the back aside, and I'm going to be working with the front. So for me to add the asymmetric flap on it now, what I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to be using like 1/4 of my measurement. I'm actually going to be stopping it here just like 1 inch before, sorry, just like 1 inch or 2 inch, or yeah, rather 2 inch before my, just 2 inch before my dart line. That's the second dart line on this side. So that's what I'm going to be working with. So I'll get another pattern paper, and then I'm going to be considering, actually going to be adding like 5 inch. You could decide to make it, depends on how long you want it, so that will be your choice. So you could actually measure how high you want the flap to be. So you could see the asymmetric flap on the picture I showed you, it was almost reaching her on the neckline. So for this, I'm actually going to be making use of 5 inches. So I'll use, you could use between 5 and 6 inches. So I have 17 inches here. So if I'm adding 5 inches to it, I have 17 inches. So you get another fabric or another pattern paper. I advise you do this on a pattern paper before you transfer to your fabric. So I have 18 inches here, so I am good to go. So the easiest way for me to transfer the measurement here, instead of going at it again, I'll just take my pattern like this, and then I'm going to be placing it here like this. Then I'll add allowance to it, because you could see that it was actually sewn and torn. So you add like a 2 inches allowance to it in order for you not to run into any problem. So I'll just add, the allowance should be added on this side. It should be added on this side. So I'll just cut it out first with the 2 inches allowance extra first, after cutting it out, and then before I show you how to achieve that. So I'm just going to keep this on the side. So I have my pattern paper that I'm actually going to be using. Remember, I added an extra 5. You could add between 5 and 6 inches to it. So I'm just going to be placing it now for me to get, in order for me to get the shape of my dress. So I'll just place it like this on it, so you could see the 2 inch I was talking about. I'll just place it like this, and then you could decide to trace it out. If your paper is not traceable, if it is not traceable, you could easily do this. If it is not traceable because of the 2 inches allowance that you added to it, you could do this. You could decide to put it like this, and make sure you're using like 1 inch out of it. That's from this down part. So you still have 1 inch left. So, and then I'm just going to do this, and then I'm just going to trace it out. But since my paper, I could actually trace it out, so I'm just going to place it and trace it directly. I'll just trace mine out directly, just like this. So I have my edges the same here. So I have my edges the same. So you could decide to take the parts that you actually want. You could decide to choose any part that you want the asymmetric flap to be. So you could see my edges, they are the same now. It has to be the same in order for it to fit perfectly well. So, and then I still have my extra inch. I still have my 6 inch, between 5 and 6 inch. It's actually 5 inch plus the extra inch that you're going to be using to stitch it. So with this now, I'm just going to be trimming out the asymmetric part like I told you. So with I'm going to be starting from this point, which is like the triangle point. So what I'm actually going to be doing now, I'm just going to be making a slant from this point up to this armhole point. So I'm just going to use my ruler to do that. So because this paper, because it's transparent, so I could actually see it. So I could actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to be making a rule. I'm making sure that the length, the size that I want is accurate. So I have 6 inches here. I told you that I wanted 5 inches. So I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to slant it down like this to this point, to the armhole point. So I have it out here. So I'm just going to be cutting out those points like this. So I have the first part out now. So this is the top part. So this is the top part. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to be cutting out the skirt part of this gown. So I'll just leave this on the side. I'll come back to it. So for the skirt part, so I've made out some couple of lines here to indicate my skirt. So the first line I have here is the waistline. This I'm just going to be doing a quick basic skirt pattern, pencil skirt pattern. So I have the video on my channel. You could go watch it. I'll drop the link also. And then this is the waistline, and then this line and this line. This is the hip line, and then this is the knee line. So for beginners, like I always say in most of my videos, the distance between the hip and the waistline and the hip line is usually between 6 and 9. So you could see it here, 6 and 9. So this point between 6 and 9, that is where the hip is going to be entering. So I'm just not going to be deliberating on that. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now, I'm just going to measure out my waistline. So for the waistline, I'm just going to be using 7.5. This is 7.5 inches, and then I'll add 1.5 inch allowance. And then for the hip line, I'm going to be making use of 36. When you divide 36 into 4, sorry, I forgot, the measurement was actually divided into 4. So I have 9 inches. So this is my 9 inches, and then I'll add 1 inch for my allowance. And then for the hemline, which is the down part, you could see that this gown is really fitted. So I'm actually going to be reducing it. I'm going to be using 32. When you divide 32 into 4, you have 8 inches. 32. So now I'm going to be connecting my lines now. So I'm just going to be using dotted lines first in order for you to see what I'm doing clearly. before I join properly. So you can see what I have here, because it is a short skirt. So I'm just going to be doing this. So for the dart line, darts now, I'm going to be making use of 4" for my dart. So this is my 4" line. So I'm just going to be rolling a straight line like this from top to my 6 inches. You could use 5 inches. So, and then I'll come to the midpoint of my 6 inches, which is 3 inches, like this. And then from this 3 inches, I'll just put my tape like this, and then take half an inch to my right hand side, and then half an inch to this point. So I'm just going to be connecting it to the 4" point here, and then bringing this one also to this 4" point. So now I'm going to do this now. So I'm just going to cut out the dart line. So I'm just going to connect my lines. You could use your skirt curve. So since I could use my hand, I should just cut it out. So this is like my skirt. So like I told you, it is a short skirt. So I'm just going to keep it on the side. So I'm going to be cutting the down part, the asymmetric part on this down part. So like I did for the beginning part, I'm just going to be looking for, so this you could determine how long you want it to be. That's the drop. So what I actually have here, I have 18 inches. So I think I'm just going to be going with like 25 inches. So how many inches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to be increasing, adding like 8 inches to this measurement. So 25. So I'm just take out my pattern paper and then measure and see if I have up to 25. No. So I'll cut out a new pattern paper for that. So I have enough. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm still going to be using the same technique that I use, because this side involves the hip. I'm actually going to be adding 3 inches to my measurement now. I'm not going to be using 2 inches. I'll add 3 inches to my measurement, to the side of my measurement. So I'm just going to be cutting it out now. So like we did before, and when you're doing this, you have to be careful or else you run into a problem. So you have to make sure that the top part of the tube and the down part corresponds, or else you are going to run into a problem. Because you can see what I have here. It's on this right hand side. If you are bringing it to this side, it will not match. So you have to make sure that it is on the same side. So that is what will help you. So you have to check it before you cut out. So I'll just cut out. The down part, I actually did not come in. So I'm just going to stop it here. I'm just going to take this like this, and then I'll place on top. Just to make sure it's the hip part. That is what actually matters. So I'm just going to be making sure that the hip and the waist part correspond. So the essence of this allowance is for you to sew and turn. So that's just the basic essence. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just put the top pattern, because I actually want it to correspond. So I'm just going to do this. I want it to correspond. So I'm just going to put them and make sure my patterns, they rhyme. They are on the same side. So I'm going to do the same thing. Like I told you, for the down part, I actually used 8 inches to increase it. So you could decide to use any measurement of your choice. Depends on how long you actually want it to be. So the next thing, I'm just going to set my ruler on this edge and then bring it to the edge of my skirt. So because of the kind of paper I'm using, I could actually see my skirt, I could see the skirt pattern from it because it's transparent. So I'm just going to do this and then set the ruler on the edge also. So I'm just going to be making a line from this point to this point because I could see mine. So I'll take it to this edge so you can see what I have. So now I'm going to be cutting it out now. So this edge, I'm just going to trim it and make sure everything is, the shape of my skirt is perfect on this side. So you could see what I have. So for the sleeve, I'm going to be making use of the basic and sleeve pattern to cut out the sleeve because it is an off shoulder. You could see the sleeve. So I'm just going to do that now. And I'm just going to use my basic sleeve pattern. I could just decide to do so all you have to do in order for you to get this sleeve, all you have to do is for you to measure. You measure this point from this point to this point. So I have I was just going to use my eye. So I have 2 inches. So I'm just going to do this now. I'm just going to draw a basic sleeve using this my basic sleeve pattern because I'm going to be cutting this calf part. I'm going to be cutting it off. So I'll just do this now. So this is like my, if you want to know how to sew a pencil sleeve, you could check it out on my channel. I'm actually not really going to be deliberating on it. So now I'm going to be cutting out the cap from it. I'm just going to do this using my 2 inches from this point. And this is my 2 inches. So I'm going to be cutting it out from this point. You could decide to use 2 inches here. It will still fall on the same thing. So I'll put my ruler here now and just yank it out. Oh my God. You just roll it out. So make sure you have 2 inches here where your sleeve is going to fit into. So that's just the essence. Make sure you have 2 inches here. That's like this. It should be like this. Make sure you have 2 inches where your sleeve is going to fit in because you actually have 2 inches there. So and then you cut this part off. So that's what I was just trying to illustrate to you. So you actually have something like this now. So this 2 inches is actually going to be fitting into this point for the basic sleeve, and then you measure. That's another video for another day. You measure your round, that's the top part of your sleeve. Make sure that the measurement is accurate and then you measure it. So I'm actually not going to be deliberating on that for this video. So that's that, and then you have the skirt. So just going to place it properly for you to see. So the back of the skirt, you're just going to be using the basic pattern. That's your basic skirt pattern, just with your allowance, because this symmetric part is not included on the back. So you could see the back of the dress that I showed you, the top part of the bodice that I showed you. It's just the normal regular top part, while the skirt also is just the regular pencil skirt pattern for the back. So This is the front, and then this is the back. This is where the emphasis lies. I'm just going to take out my things in order for you to see it clearly. So I have now come to the end of this video, of this illustration, of this pattern drafting for this dress. I actually call it, I decided to call it a trendy body hugging gown or an asymmetric stylish gown. So you could call it whatever. It's just at the end of the day, the gown is fine. That is what matters. So thank you so much, guys. If you find this pattern drafting helpful, please do not hesitate to hit on the like button and then share it with your friends. Also subscribe if you have not done so. Thank you so much, and God bless you.